Welcome to the hashtag Women Get Funded show, where we are dedicated to empowering women founders to shatter barriers and achieve exponential growth and funding for their business. Join us on this inspiring journey as we illuminate the path to unlocking opportunities and prosperity for women-led enterprises. With only 2% of venture funding going to women-led businesses and a mere 3% of women-led companies crossing the $1 million threshold, these startling statistics highlight the need for change. I am Coco Selman, 5-time founder, impact investor, creator of the Force for Good business system, and your host on this transformative journey. In each episode, you'll meet a trailblazing woman leader. You will meet venture capitalists, CEOs, successful founders, and experts in scaling business growth. Our purpose is clear. We are here to open doors and provide women founders with invaluable access to advisors, investors, and visionary leaders who share our commitment to creating a better world through women-led business at hashtag Women Get Funded. We see a future where tomorrow's Amazons, Mercks, Microsofts, and Home Depots are born right here, led by women. They represent the future face of business, and we're here to make it happen. I believe that women-led business is the most powerful, transformative force of our time. Together, we make the world better through business. Are you in? Welcome to hashtag Women Get Funded show. We are dedicated to empowering women founders to shatter barriers of growth and funding for their businesses. Thank you for joining us today as we illuminate the path to unlocking opportunities and prosperity for women-led enterprises. Today, we have a very special guest, a very new but dear friend, Carmen Palafox of 2045 Ventures. And so I just want to share with everybody a little about you before we dive in. So Carmen comes to us with more than 2 decades of finance experience in investing across diverse sectors of climate tech, fintech, health tech, and consumer products. Carmen is a visionary. She's co-founded 2045 Ventures, contributes as a partner at Mila Capital, and enriches how women invest as a venture partner. Her academic contributions include being an adjunct professor at USC Marshall School of Business, where she shares her venture capital wisdom. And before her venture capital journey, Carmen excelled at Dimension Fund Advisors, expanding its assets under management from $75 billion to $300 billion. That's a pretty feather in your cap. She's a fervent believer in the transformative power of capital markets and dedicates herself to mentoring entrepreneurs in finance and strategic growth. Her influence has been recognized with the Los Angeles Latina Chamber of Commerce's Rising Star Award, NBCA's Spotlight as a rising star in venture capital, and featured by LA Magazine as one of LA's most influential women. That's a big deal. And in 2019, Carmen discussed top tech trends on Bloomberg TV and played a pivotal role in launching Latinx VCs. It is just so wonderful to have this time to be with you, Carmen. Welcome.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the introduction, Coco. I'm so excited to dive in with you, and especially during Women's Month. This is great. So happy to be here.
Absolutely. And so I like to ask at the beginning, my first question always is, what's one book written by a woman that has significantly influenced your life, Carmen?
So Coco, I'm going to I'm going to surprise you because I'm going to give you two books. One that has influenced my life deeply is a book called Led by Faith, and it's by Immaculee Ilibagiza. It is about a woman's experience going through the Rwandan genocide.
I
And I can tell you why it was, okay, you've read it maybe?
I haven't read it, but I know about her.
I just, I, I don't know if I could be as forgiving as she was. But having read the book, it just speaks to the power of mercy and forgiveness and transformation. And so it's just such a powerful book. I should reread it because it's all about mindset, right? And the ability to forget. So that's one. And then I can tell you that I'm currently reading Embrace the Power of You by Tricia Timm. And this is about owning your identity at work. So another powerful book that I'm just getting into.
Oh my goodness, those are two great examples for us to pick up. I actually have embraced the power of you, but I haven't read it yet. It's literally on my shelf over here. So we'll have to compare notes. And I have heard such wonderful things about Led by Faith, Immaculee. I don't know how to say her last name, but it's beautiful. And she, but she, but she's a women's advocate. She's an incredibly powerful speaker and an activist. So thank you for that wonderful setting of the table for us today. So I just love for you to share a little bit about how you got into venture and why you chose to get into venture.
Yeah, so the how and the why, those are great questions. I would say I spent, as you mentioned in the introduction, the first part of my career investing in public equity. So these are companies that have already gone public. And when I started my career, the company's at the top of the stock market. And I know this because part of my job was to report the top 10 holdings to our institutional investors. And the top 10 holdings at those times were all companies in the energy sector, right? In the automotive sector. And slowly throughout my career, as technology started eating the world, there started to be a shift. And that shift was focused on technology, which is still strong today. After 15 years at Dimensional, I decided to go back to get my MBA, and that was at Berkeley Haas, which is the epicenter, always will be, I think, of technology. And I was so immersed in the startup ecosystem, venture capital, and I started to realize and recognize how powerful private markets are. Right? These are companies and just like an asset class that most of us retail investors don't have access to. But it's an asset class that creates a lot of wealth and opportunity, and so that is the why. I wanted to shift my career into an asset class where there was opportunity for wealth creation, and to bring more representation to the industry, and create access, and so the how, after graduating from Haas, I wanted to be part of the developing ecosystem in Los Angeles, which back then was very nascent. Today, LA is the third largest tech ecosystem, so it's growing, and it was exciting to be on the kind of ground floor of that. And I joined two business partners, and we started a fund called Mila Capital, which you referenced earlier in the introduction. And that fund was focused on investing in deep tech. So we made very early stage investments, and basically at the idea stage in companies that are changing the world. And we made 22 investments through that first fund across space tech, wearables, digital health, and climate tech. And so that's the how I got into it.
So wonderful. And tell us the story of the name 2045 Ventures.
So 2045, was born out of the pandemic. So, like a lot of us, I was locked in, my home and searching for purpose and meaning in my career and in my work. And I really wanted to make a difference in the industry. Uh, 2045 has a few different meanings, right? The first meaning is around the demographic change that's happening in our country. So 2045 is the year there won't be a racial majority in the United States. Demographics are changing so rapidly, and we need to come up to where we are in this changing country we live in and empower more people. And the second is around climate change. I live in California, and by 2045, our goals are quite hefty. Uh, net zero, and so it's a climate tech is an area I care a lot about.
It's wonderful. And it's so inspiring. So, and it's, what I love about it is it's about transformation, right? It's about, as you said before, it's how much power there is in capital markets, and to be able to harness that power to create good positive change, I think is I know something that you and I share, right? I know you make investments that you know can grow and that are uh, you believe in, that will be profitable, but you also care deeply about a mission and a purpose.
Absolutely. And you know, I I love this country, and I'm looking to the future of what our country looks like.
Yeah,
And so it's about investing in people.
it is 100%. And I also think it's about um, as I feel like as more women and more people of color, people of any, ostracized, disadvantaged groups, as they take more power and lead in business, lead in government, in society, in whatever places, as that becomes more the norm, the the opportunities for us all just exponentially expands, because
Exactly. Yeah.
each of us has different needs and wants and ideas and experiences that we can draw from. And I just think it's extremely exciting time to be part of venture myself, just and as an entrepreneur, because I really do feel like we're creating a better future.
Absolutely. And the idea is to grow the pie, right? I mean,
Definitely.
there's empirical data that shows if you put this group of demographic and people to work, it just increases our GDP.
Exactly.
So right now, it's like an analogy of taking a player off the bench. So you put them in the game, and we're all playing, and you just create more opportunity.
It's wonderful. So I know that you invest in pre-seed and seed companies, mostly in fintech, health tech, and climate tech. And I love that your statement about what you invest is we back diverse, mission driven founders who are building innovative solutions and shaping a better tomorrow. Can you say more about all that?
Yeah. So, just in terms of our thesis, we believe that inclusion is a competitive edge. It's why we've proudly invested in diverse leadership teams. Five of our seven companies that we've invested in are led by a female CEO. And all of our companies showcase some sort of rich gender or ethnic diversity. These companies are all fueled with fresh perspectives, as you mentioned, right? Innovative solutions, and they have a deeper connection to their stakeholders. Those stakeholders not only include their business partners, but their employees. And so, yes, we invest early. We invest in companies that are sub $10 million valuation, mostly enterprise focused, because that's our background and our experience. And our investment check size is about 250K.
That's wonderful. And so, I know that you do about a 250K. You like to take a less than 10%, 5 to 7% initial ownership. Can you say more about that and why that's what you choose and what your philosophy is around that?
Our philosophy is that there's a critical gap for founders of this demographic at the very early stage,
Yes.
because there's not a whole lot to go on, right? There's not significant traction in the company, and so we feel that if we can invest early and be catalytic and help that founder get to the next level, help them syndicate their round, that they are going to be set up for success. And the other side of that is that, we want to be a successful fund and put more wins on the board for women, for underrepresented founders. And so we also feel that we can hit our returns target to our investors, which is, you know, 3 to 5 times cash on cash if we invest early and if we invest in companies that are sub 10 million.
It's great. And so, one of the things it says on your website is our goal is simple: help you overcome the biggest hurdles and propel your venture to the next milestone. How does that?
Uh, I mentioned the first fund, Mila Capital. It was a very early stage, right? Idea stage. And we ran an accelerator program. So working with companies, for a 4-month period, I learned a lot. And what I learned is that every entrepreneur is different. Um,
Right.
and they need support uh, at different stages, and their needs are different. And so what that means is that we meet the founder where they are.
Mhm.
Our first investment was into a company called Summa Wealth, and this is a serial entrepreneur. So her needs are very different from a first time founder. And so understanding what those needs are, how we can be helpful is important. And that's why this industry is very much a people industry, and more of a cottage industry. It's because you, as an investor, really need to understand how to be helpful to a founder.
Absolutely. And I'll ask you about this a little more later, just how you support your founders and what it looks like after you write the check.
Yeah.
But not all. What I would say, and as a founder myself, and like not all investors are the same. And if you have the luxury of being able to pick them, which you do, because where you go and where you ask and how you go through that process, will help you find the right fit. And I just can't express that enough to founders, right? That it's really important that you think about who you're gonna partner with and whether they're gonna really partner with you or not. And are they going to write a check and walk away? Are they gonna write a check and help you? Are they gonna write a check and control you? I mean, those are all, different questions. And what are their end goals? Are they aligned with yours? Um, so it's important to think about that. And I know that you are very thoughtful and mindful about how you choose your investments and how you think about how you can help the founders that you decide to work with. So I always I was a founder for more than 20 years when I first really started to learn what it was like to be an investor. And when I started to learn about the diligence process
Yeah.
and what that involved, it changed my behavior as a founder because it helped me understand, like, Oh, well, that makes sense. This is how an outside party who's focused on creating value and helping growth, and not just me, the entrepreneur who gets to do whatever I want to every day, which is sometimes a shadow side of an entrepreneur because I am one. Like, but like so to know how you as an investor diligence a deal, think about a deal. I know when I first went to an angel boot camp, I learned people, problem, progress, price, and I always look for purpose. How do you look at it? And again, like founders are listening, help them understand the way you think.
Yeah, and I love this question. I teach this at USC, right? So I teach a MBA level course, and the idea is to teach my students what it's like to be an investor from an associate's point of view. So what does the job entail day to day? And so this is a really awesome question because most of my students are either aspiring VCs, they're founders, or they're tech operators, and I hope someday they'll be founders. So,
Yeah.
uh, so yeah, that, kind of generically speaking, what every investor is looking for is a big market opportunity, right? And that goes back to the way venture is structured as an asset class: high risk, high reward, right? And so investors investing in a venture asset class are really looking for those outsized returns because I mentioned that my target is 3 to 5x cash on cash return. But there are funds that have delivered 20x, 100x. So the upside is really unbound, right? The upside is really big. So investors are looking for a big market opportunity. They are looking for a technology where there's exponential difference to what's out there on the market, right? If you are building a technology that is maybe slightly better than what's out there, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be difficult to get people to switch to your product.
Yeah.
And it's going to be difficult to have a moat and defensibility. So you really need an idea or something that's exponentially better than what's already out there.
Yes.
And so those are things that I think about. I also think about the team because, an idea is an idea, remains an idea if there's not good execution. So does the team have what skill sets do they have? And as investors, we're looking for a team that has an ability to execute. They have a strong leadership presence. They can recruit talent and retain talent. They know how venture works. They know that it's they know that there is kind of a timeline associated with venture dollars, and that's kind of the way that's how venture is set up. So you need to be able to deliver software, right? Your technology or whatever your product is in a timely fashion. Like typically just being very candid and transparent. We can't wait 2 years until the product is delivered. So execution is important and the ability to sell is important. So, you know, you have to sell to your customers. And
Yeah.
that's important.
Traction. You mentioned it before. Um, and and I'm curious to just follow on what you just said. Like, so if I'm an early stage founder and I'm seed or even pre-seed, like, what do you like? You're the expert at picking the winners, the ones that are gonna, go. And so, what do you see that in those businesses that you say, yeah, this one's gonna go?
Yeah, I see. So, you asked about market kind of the diligence process. So I'm first call is a 30-minute intro call. Like I want to know your purpose. I want to know your founding story. I want to know why you're doing this. It's crazy hard. And then I'm slowly through subsequent calls learning more about the market opportunity. And part of my diligence is going out to market to understand the voice of the customer. So you've told me there's a problem. You told me about your solution. So I want to go out and understand from the customer point of view where this problem ranks. Is it something that's like in the top three of the pain that they're feeling and something they want to address this year? Or is it yes, it's the problem, but it's a, problem number 10 on my list.
Right.
So I'm trying to understand from the voice of the customer, like, how big is this problem? What's the market opportunity here? And is this a solution that's really durable and is going to be adopted in the market?
Right. Yeah. And I've heard it's sort of a funny term, but is it a vitamin or a painkiller? Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
And if it's a vitamin, it's harder. It's harder to believe it's really gonna. You have to figure out what that point of pain is. Right.
That's right. That's right. And that can for that's an also an evolution of a product, right?
Yes.
You get stickier and you become that must have product versus the nice to have over time as you develop the technology in collaboration with your customers.
How do you know which ones are going to be sticky? What do you look for? I'm
This is great. This is great. Yeah, I look for folks that have deep domain expertise, right? In there, especially because if I'm investing in fintech, I've been in fintech, I've been in financial services my entire career. I know it's heavily regulated. I know that to sell your product, you have to have trust. And so I'm looking for folks that really understand the industry. Right. And so that's important to me. Domain expertise is really important to me. And then again, just kind of really assessing the market opportunity. I talked about voice of customer, but there's other components to the market opportunity. Is there a push pull? Is there a regulatory component to what's going on? Or, what is going to propel adoption of this? How is revenue gonna ramp up over time?
It's wonderful. Thank you so much. I think it's so. I think the journey for founders who are trying to get funded can be very daunting,
Oh yeah,
and sometimes of course it feels very personal. But it's important to know, like, what are the things our investors are looking for, and so that we can marry up. And it may be that what we offer isn't an ideal fit for VC. It could be that it's just not for whatever reason, right? And where no reason to beat yourself up. There's other ways to grow a business than through angel investors and VCs. I don't know if you want to say anything about that.
that's absolutely right, Coco. I've invested in over 32 companies, but have looked at 3,000 opportunities to get there. And so it's incredibly competitive with each fund that we raise, an investor is making maybe 20 to 30, sometimes 40 investments, right? And so it's not a lot of companies that are getting funded by funds.
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
the reality. That's the nature of the business.
Right. So build traction in the meantime, right? Keep going in whatever way you can, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Traction it speaks loudly. It's a massive signal.
Yeah. Well, I think most businesses, as long as they do have a big enough market potential, are eventually fundable if you have enough traction,
That's right.
right?
Yep.
In some way. Okay. So let's see. Where am I? How do you work with founders after you make the investment? Tell us a little bit about that.
So the first thing I do is I host an event called Meet the Founder. And at that event, I invite our community of investors and friends of 2045 Ventures, trying to get as many folks as possible that are have expertise in a particular industry to the event, introducing the face of the company to our investors. And our investors are awesome. They are seasoned executives in enterprise. We have a former general counsel at a Silicon Valley venture-backed startup that had over a $2 billion exit. So we have like incredible investors that are an extension of myself, right? They can open the doors to our founders, to their networks as well. So it's important for us to introduce the founder because they're going to be involved with the journey from 0 to 1 and 1 to 2 for these founders. That's the first thing we do. And then it's a matter of understanding where the founder's at. So we want to meet the founder where they're at. What are your biggest roadblocks right now? How can we be most helpful? Our founders are sending, it's pretty standard in the industry for founders to send kind of a monthly snapshot of what are our wins, what are our losses, where do we need help? And so kind of understanding how we can be most helpful. But kind of I track everything I do and how I'm helping. So just reflecting on this week, I had a investor reference call. So one of our companies is raising, and the investor that wants to invest in the company wanted to jump on a call and get a reference check for we've seen that, we've been investors. How do we rank the company? How do we feel about the leadership team? Um, Also, trying to place talent within our company. So one of our companies was looking for help on product. And so we brought in someone who has experience at venture-backed startups in product. And then, working strategically with our companies on their next fundraise.
Yes.
So let's work together to build out your list of investors. Because to your point, Coco, your investors are so key to your success, right? They are. Once you go further down the alphabet, seed or Series A, they're going to have more control and more power. They can uh, fire you. They can veto an acquisition. There's so many things that go on at the later stage that it's important to make sure you have good investors that are aligned with your mission, your purpose, and back you in that. And so I work with our founders to let's develop that kind of target list of investors you want in your next round, and let's start to develop those relationships. And then when the time comes, it's all about like, let's practice your pitch because, you know, in between kind of fundraising, your pre-seed or your seed, you're working on your business and
Oh
you
yeah,
get a
in
little,
between.
yeah, I know, right? You get a little rusty at pitching and fundraising. So let's practice that and get the kinks out and, where can I improve and whatnot? How can I tell the story? What are investors at that next stage? What are they looking for? What are they, and that's my job. My job is to be actively speaking with investors at the later stage and, doing that blocking, I guess, and tackling and understanding what they're looking for.
It's wonderful. I mean, it's just, I feel like being a founder with your firm and with you, I know I've seen just in the last couple of weeks as we've gotten to know each other and seeing your emails come out, you are advocating for your founders, asking for connections for this or that. And I think it's very powerful. It also, it's how it's how it works. It's how the power of venture and why so many companies that are venture backed, or why so many companies today that have grown over the last 10, 20 years were venture backed
That's right.
at the beginning. So I'm curious to know, what would you say to a founder who pitches and pitches and pitches but doesn't get
Mhm.
funded? What would you say?
Yeah, so you said it for me. Don't take it personally. uh, it's really hard. I get it. For founders often hear, "Well, do your homework." You're like, "Oh my god, it's so," it's like I'm trying to run the business. Like I can hear, slip through like this database of 1,000 investors and get to know exactly what they're thinking. It's really hard. But just, I mean, number one is don't take it personally. There's many factors that go into not making an investment. And so, and you also said, continue getting that traction. So, it's hard to do without cash flow. I get it. But the more you can develop traction and show growth, maybe it's even doing more customer discovery,
Uh-huh.
practicing your narrative, practicing like how you're going to get to market. I think those things are all incredibly important.
Yeah, and you can do that. A lot of that is you don't need tons of funds, right, to continue to build relationships and figure those pieces out with your market.
Yeah, because I'm investing so early, I'm looking for that, how extensive those founders' customer discovery is. Like, are these all hypothesis that you have, or like what have you done to test these assumptions,
Mhm.
right? Like how many people have you spoken to? What level of priority is it? Is it a nice to have or a must have? Like these are all things that I want to know.
Right. And you know that those are the ones that have the answers are more likely to be the ones that can go the distance too, right?
That's
So
right.
there is a correlation there. So maybe just tell us about one or two of your favorite founders, and not necessarily favorite, like two that,
Yes.
because I'm sure
Well,
you love all your founders,
I
right?
do. I do, Coco. Yes, they're all incredible.
Maybe tell us a little bit about a founder or two that you have just really enjoyed working with, and their story and why it is that they're a special founder to you.
I'll tell you the story of a few to underscore the points we've talked about. How's that?
Perfect. Perfect.
So if they're listening in, and like you're all my favorite.
Of course. Of course.
But
Of course.
I will talk about Momodo, which is in the cybersecurity space. It's led by a female CEO. There are very few females in cybersecurity overall,
Yeah.
and much fewer female CEOs of cybersecurity companies. But Chris Bondi is the CEO and co-founder. She does have technical co-founders, but throughout, she spent her career in cybersecurity, and her expertise is in go to market. And so she'd be pulled into companies at the growth stage, think Series A and above, to push forward their expansion in markets. And thus her specific goal was, let's get this company to an exit. And so she has deep experience in cybersecurity and deep experience in helping companies scale and grow to an exit. And
But alignment.
yes, exactly. So going back to the checklist, it's like, okay, what am I looking for in a founder? It's, that founder market fit, um, and the ability to execute, right? So proven that, I've seen it. And others have seen it. Another company that has a similar profile is Chantico Technologies. I'm going to stay on the female track. This is led by the founder. Her name is Gina Sanchez, and she has been a portfolio manager. So
Uh,
what her technology is focused on is helping asset managers. So these are portfolio managers, they're RIAs, they're anyone that manages kind of a portfolio of investments, giving them the tools to stay in compliance with their investment policies using machine learning. And she's spent her career in the role of a chief investment officer, both as a portfolio manager. She was director of investments at the Ford Foundation. She was on the board of Lacera. And so, again, because she's building in financial services, it's that trust factor, right? And she's going to have trust amongst her customers because of her background and experience. And she has recruited folks to her team that had experience building in financial services, selling in financial services, and then folks with AI experience.
Amazing. So you can see how all the pieces, if a founder that has all these other people in place to solve for the challenges of the business, it makes a huge difference.
Yes, and Coco, I'm talking about kind of industries that where trust is required. Of course, there's other industries where that's less important, and I've made investments into Summa Wealth, which is focused on financial literacy, and Chezi, which is focused on employee resource groups, and so that level of domain expertise isn't as kind of important, I would say, but in industries where it is, I'm looking for that because I think it will
Totally.
help founders like just be able to sell. And they understand their customer better. They understand the regulatory hurdles and whatnot.
Makes sense. I love that. So how would a founder pitch your fund?
So there's on our website we have a tab that says pitch us, and so you fill out your information. We take a look at the opportunity and determine whether it's a fit. We prioritize. I have to say we are looking for companies solving solutions in climate tech and health tech. Those kind of rise to the top. We don't make investments in CPG. And
Okay.
and so for us it's a look at, is this company fit the profile of a company we'd invest in?
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. And any last words of wisdom for our founders?
So words of wisdom are knowledge is power. And if you're a founder, I'm a I'm a part of All Raise, which is an organization focused on female founders and funders. And I recommend to founders I invest in and other founders that I run across to take their master class. So it's kind of like a master class. You basically learn what investors are looking for. You learn how to pitch. You learn so many different things, and so I think it's a great resource for founders to get that knowledge in a way that's kind of packaged specifically for a founder.
Yes.
And it's video. I don't know about you, but I spend my days reading emails, and sometimes I just want to listen to something like a podcast or a video, and so it's a good resource.
That's great. You could get on the treadmill and,
Totally, yes. And I can listen to it over and over.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Well, I so appreciate getting to spend time with you. And I hope to be out in your neck of the woods in California one of these days soon. I so appreciated that you flew all the way to Florida to do the How Women Lead event and the new table. So I hope we get to cross paths again very, very soon. So
likewise, Coco.
Yeah,
yes.
And we're going to eat chocolate together too.
Oh, yes.
Yes. we're looking for women chocolatiers. So anybody who has a good one, we would love to know about them. But thank you, Carmen, for joining us today at #WomenGetFunded. Thank you for illuminating the path to unlocking opportunities and prosperity for women-led enterprises. As I always say, the world is made better by women-led business. Please, let's all go make the world a better place.
Let's do it. Thank you, Coco.
Are you ready to take the next big step in planning, propelling, and funding the exponential growth in your high-impact business? Welcome to the Force for Good Business Accelerator. The next step is the Force for Good Business Accelerator. At a Force for Good, we know that growth is a puzzle you can solve. You too can cross the chasm of scaling and funding at www.aforceforgood.biz/accelerator. Designed for women founders and their teams, this virtual experience is your opportunity to immerse yourself in a transformative process that will create a flywheel effect for your entire company. First, you'll build and implement a growth plan. This plan will be designed to help you accelerate product market fit and fine-tune a go-to-market strategy that produces more prospects, more customers, more traction, more growth. Next, you will explore all the many options for funding your business, from angel investors to venture, to crowdfunding, to grants to loans. We will help you explore every option available to ensure you always have the fuel to keep growing. Along the way, you will elevate as a transformative leader, discovering clarity, confidence, and wisdom with each step along the journey. We will guide you every step of the way, and with options for additional support available to help you grow more quickly, we help you believe in our mantra that growth is a puzzle you can solve. Learn more about the Force for Good Virtual Business Accelerator today at www.aforceforgood.biz/accelerator. That's right, www.aforceforgood.biz/accelerator.